Hey guys, welcome back. Today on The Untidy Artist, we're making a Dreamcatcher. I actually have a special guest today. My daughter Sydney, who has always been fascinated with Dreamcatchers, will be making this Dreamcatcher for us. Dreamcatchers are meant to be hung above your bed. They're supposed to catch all of the bad dreams, and then all of the good dreams will slide down the feathers and onto the person that is sleeping below. Let's grab some supplies and get started. The first thing you'll need is a wire hoop. I found this at a craft store. You could also use an embroidery ring if you'd like. And then you need something to wrap around your hoop. So some suede lace or some ribbon. And then we're using waxed cord for this tutorial. I found that especially when you're starting out making Dreamcatchers, the waxed cord works really well. And then you'll need some feathers to hang below your Dreamcatcher. You'll need about 5 feathers, and I'm mixing it up here and using some different types of feathers. And then you'll need some beads to weave into the center of your Dreamcatcher. So I have some shells and some little tiny rock beads. And then we're actually going to color our feathers, and so we'll just be using some food coloring and a little cup of water, and I decided to use blue and green. A clamp to help us assemble our Dreamcatcher, some sharp scissors, some string to hang our feathers from, and I'm using a couple different kinds of string and decorative trim, and then some wire to attach our feathers to our string. And this is just a 26 gauge floral wire. Okay, the first step is to wrap the leather cord around your embroidery hoop or your wire ring. So just start by looping it around the ring a few times, and then take your clamp and clamp it over the top of the cord, holding it into place. And then you're just going to wrap it around the entire hoop in an even layer. And you want to make sure that it's wrapped evenly and tightly. And then once you get to the end, trim off about 10 inches just to give you enough to tie off. And then you're going to, you can see Sydney here arranging and kind of tightening the leather cord around the ring. And just making sure that it's covered entirely and that it's covered tightly. And then when you get to the top, tie a double knot. So left over right, and then right over left. And then trim off the ends. And this will be on the bottom side of our Dreamcatcher. Then go ahead and grab your waxed cord and measure out approximately 10 feet. The amount that you will use will depend on how tightly you weave the web. And you may have a little bit left over, but it's better to have too much left over than not enough. Then just wrap it around your fingers into a ball to make it easier to work with. Now you're going to tie it in a nice tight knot right next to the knot from your leather cord. Now we're going to start creating our web. So we are going to be using the same stitch throughout the entire process. We're going to loop it around our ring 6 times. So measure out a couple inches and just make sure that every time you measure out, you're doing it about the same length. And you're going to wrap it around the hoop and then back through the hole that you just formed. And what this will do is it will create a knot and secure the waxed cord into place. Now you'll just follow those same steps. So take it out just a few inches counterclockwise, loop it around the hoop, going through the hole that we just formed, and then taking it back through that hole. And making sure that we pull it nice and tight. And now for our third loop or knot, we're going to go around the hoop, through the hole that we just created and then back through that hole. Depending on how many inches you space between each knot will determine how many times you need to tie knots for your first layer. With this Dreamcatcher, we did 7. So there are 7 knots in our first layer of our web. And you can see we're spacing them evenly. So around the hoop, through the loop we just created, and then back through the loop we just created to secure our waxed cord. And now that we've gone around our hoop once, now moving towards the center, we're going to start weaving our second layer, and we're going to put each knot in between the knots that we just created on our first layer. So find the middle point of your first 2 knots, and you're going to loop it around the same way. This time bringing the string around the string from the first layer and then through the hole that we just created. So around the string and then through the hole that we just created, making sure that the knots are in between the first 2 knots from the first layer. At this point, you should start to see your web taking shape. So now that you've finished your first 2 layers, you're going to continue to work towards the center, placing your new knots in between the 2 knots from the previous layer, looping it around the string or the cord, and then back through the hole that you just created to secure a knot. And just continue to follow these steps, working towards the center of the Dreamcatcher. Now before you weave the last layer, trim off about 12 inches of your cord and go ahead and string a few of your beads or your stones. String 1 stone and then weave it around your cord just like you normally would, taking it around the cord and then through the hole you just created. And I do maybe every other one. So do 1 with a bead and then do 1 plain and then 1 with a bead. And honestly, if you want to add beads throughout your entire Dreamcatcher, you can. With this one, we just ended up putting a few of the beads on the center of the Dreamcatcher. The fun thing about this is they're all incredibly unique. They all have different designs and you can make them customized as much as you'd like. And then knot off the end of your cord and trim it off. And you've just created the inside part of your Dreamcatcher. Now we're going to color our feathers. So just take a little bit of food coloring. This part does get messy, so if you want to wear gloves, you can. Dip your fingers in some water. Take a little bit of the food coloring and just work it into the feathers, giving them just a little bit of color. This part is totally optional. I really liked the color and depth that it gave the feathers. And then decide where you want your feathers to go. And you can see our knot is on the bottom of our Dreamcatcher. So once you've decided where to place them, take about 5 inches of your wire and match the end of your feather up to the end of your cord or your string or whatever you decide to hang your feathers with. And you're just going to secure the feather with a little bit of the wire. And then just for fun, we're adding a couple of these little shells onto a couple pieces of the string to hang down over the top of the feathers. Once you have secured all of your feathers onto your cord or your string, we're going to attach them to our Dreamcatcher. So you can do this one of 2 ways. You can either take a little bit of glue from a glue gun and secure it around your Dreamcatcher, or you can tie it in knots. After doing it with the glue gun, we decided tying the knots was a lot easier. And then just for fun, we're going to take a few more beads and shells and tie some onto a string. And we're going to dangle this down in a couple different spots onto our Dreamcatcher. And just finish the end off with a knot. And this is just a fun way to decorate your Dreamcatcher some more and make it more unique. It was a lot of fun to use up some of the extra beads that we've had from other projects as well. And we just added a few of these beautiful dangling little beaded strands in between some of the feathers. And that's it, guys. You are done. You have a gorgeous, unique Dreamcatcher. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this a thumbs up if you liked it. If you have any comments or questions, please post those below. If you haven't already subscribed to The Untidy Artist, please do. That would be awesome. I post videos weekly and I would love for you to subscribe. And as always, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.